team of explorers set out into the Arctic, determined to map the unmapped and trusting science to keep them safe. But on that ice, drifting up to 7 kilometers a day, with temperatures plunging to -28, one decision led to silence. Their disappearance became one of the Arctic's enduring mysteries. How could an expedition so carefully planned simply walk into the ice and vanish? The landscape holds the first clues. Beyond the reach of any tree line, the Kara Sea stretches in silence, broken only by the groan of shifting ice. Here, the landscape is in constant motion. Pack ice drifts between 3 and 7 kilometers each day. No matter how well planned an expedition might be, the Arctic is indifferent. It does not punish or favor, but it erases certainty. Each calculation, a route, a supply load, a timetable, must contend with an environment that changes without notice and offers no guarantees. In this place, human ambition is only one variable among many. 12 men signed on for the Zodiac survey, each bringing a specific skill to the mission. Their names appear in the surviving crew list: navigators, a meteorologist, a physician, 2 engineers, and a pair of seasoned ice pilots. The expedition's leader, Captain Elias Sorensen, had spent over 20 years in northern waters, most recently as first mate on a Norwegian sealing ship. His reputation for caution and discipline made him an obvious choice for command. Yet the records show a man who also understood the value of risk in pursuit of discovery. The Royal Geographical Society underwrote the voyage with a grant of £12,000, a sum that covered the purchase and refitting of the Zodiac, a 150-ton wooden cutter. The ship's hull was reinforced with iron bands at the bow and waterline, her decks sealed against drifting snow.
If you want more stories like this, like and subscribe. Your support helps us investigate the stories that still need answers.
Supplies filled every available space: pemmican, hardtack, tinned meats, coal, paraffin, and medical chests. Scientific equipment included a theodolite, chronometers, and barometers, as well as a new type of photographic plate designed to function at low temperatures. The manifest listed over 24 sled dogs, harnesses, and collapsible canvas boats for crossing open leads. The stated purpose of the expedition was to map the uncharted coastline of the northern Kara Sea and gather meteorological and magnetic data. Official correspondence between the Society and Captain Sorensen emphasized the importance of precision in charting, with daily observations to be recorded in duplicate logs. The scientific agenda was ambitious: to resolve gaps left by earlier Russian and Swedish surveys, to determine the extent of the continental shelf, and to collect samples of sea ice and marine life. Letters exchanged before departure reveal the pressures at play. The Society's committee urged Sorensen to press as far east as ice conditions allowed, warning that rival expeditions from St. Petersburg might soon claim the same territory. Sorensen replied with a promise to advance with prudence, but not to turn back at the first sign of hardship. Crew contracts outlined a share in any scientific recognition or commercial rights that might result from discoveries. Every aspect of the Zodiac survey's preparation reflected the tension between caution and ambition. The ship was provisioned for 18 months, but the schedule allowed little margin for delay. Each crew member understood that success depended not only on their skills, but on the ability to adapt to whatever the Arctic demanded. Captain Elias Soren's log for the first week of June records the daily arithmetic of survival. The stores, weighed and tallied, amounted to 1,250 kilograms, enough, by his calculations, for just under 3 months if rationed strictly. Each man was allotted a measured portion of pemmican, hardtack, and tea. The ICE, meanwhile, was retreating at a rate of nearly 2 kilometers per day, pushed south by persistent winds and shifting currents. What had been a stable camp only days before now drifted farther from their intended survey line with every hour. Pressure from the Royal Geographical Society was never far from mind. Letters received before departure reminded Soren of the need for results, for mapped coastlines, and magnetic data to justify the investment and secure future funding. Dr. Susan Barr, an Arctic historian, later noted that the Society's ambition often outpaced the realities of polar travel. In her words, there was always the expectation to push a little further, to prove what others had not. Faced with dwindling supplies and the knowledge that the ice would soon become impassable, Soren made the decision to leave the relative safety of camp and march east across the moving floes. The logic was clear: remain and risk isolation, or set out while there was still a chance of reaching open water and rescue. The men packed their sledges, checked their instruments, and stepped off the known path, aware that from this point forward, the outcome would depend as much on the ice as on their own resolve. On 28 May, a short telegram left the expedition's radio tent. The message, relayed through the Norwegian whaling station at Cape Jelenia, read, "Proceeding east with sledges. Supplies adequate. Expect open water in 10 days." After that, nothing more was heard from Captain Sorensen or his men. The radio operator logged routine static through 30th May, then silence. Later analysis by Professor Peter W. Vaughan at the Norwegian Polar Institute reconstructed the likely path of the party using ice drift models. Vaughan's work showed that the region where Sorensen's team set out was a shear zone, an unstable boundary between fast ice anchored to the coast and mobile pack ice drifting south at up to 6 kilometers per day. In theory, a sledge party could cross the zone quickly. In practice, the ice fractured under pressure, opening leads and splitting flows without warning. The last unconfirmed sighting came from an Inuit hunter who described distant figures moving east across the flows, barely visible through haze. No further signals or traces reached the outside world. The Arctic had swallowed the expedition's trail in a matter of days, leaving only speculation and a single, final transmission. Naval search parties arrived in the Kara Sea as soon as the ice allowed passage, their ships tracing the expedition's last known coordinates across a grid that spanned thousands of nautical miles. Over the course of 2 summers, official records from the British National Archives detail the deployment of survey vessels, dog teams, and aerial observers, each tasked with covering new ground or re-examining old leads. Yet the searchers found only silence, no camps, no cairns, no clear trail leading east. By the 1970s, the focus shifted from rescue to recovery. Researchers at the Ephraim Museum in Oslo cataloged fragments retrieved from the drifting ice: a length of rope, a brass button, a splintered sled runner. Each item was carefully logged and compared with the Zodiac's original manifest, but none offered answers about the fate of Sorensen or his men. Gaps in the archival record complicate any reconstruction. Dr. Maria Jensen, a conservation archaeologist, notes that entire volumes of the Zodiac's correspondence are missing from the Society's files, and the location of the original logbook remains unknown. In 2021, satellite imagery revealed a linear anomaly beneath the ice, measuring roughly 40 meters, but subsequent analysis proved inconclusive. Forensic examination of a cracked compass, recovered from a debris field in 2022, showed only weathering consistent with decades of exposure. Each new lead narrowed the possibilities, but never closed the case. Despite exhaustive effort, the Arctic kept its secrets. The search left more questions than answers, and the story of the Zodiac survey remains incomplete. The Arctic still keeps its secrets, ice locking away more than answers. As climate shifts and ancient routes reopen, explorers return, but the risks remain unchanged. Mystery. Here isn't a puzzle to solve. It's a limit to respect. Some vanishings echo louder than any discovery. Thanks for watching. Temperatures in early summer settle near -28 degrees Celsius, falling lower when the wind sharpens. Even on clear days, the cold seeps through layers of wool and oilskin, biting at exposed skin and numbing the hands of anyone who lingers too long. The sun circles low, offering little warmth, and the horizon often blurs into a pale haze. Whiteouts descend with little warning, pushed by winds and the slow, relentless pull of the East Greenland current. What appears solid underfoot is never truly still. Pressure ridges rise without warning, slabs of ice driven upward by forces deep below the surface. Some reach the height of a man, strong enough to crush the hull of a wooden ship or block a sledge route overnight. The air itself is an adversary. Visibility can drop below 20 meters in a matter of minutes as snow and fog erase the boundary between sky and ice. In these moments, direction loses meaning. Navigation by compass is uncertain, and footsteps vanish behind the traveler, filled in by drifting snow. Sound carries strangely, sometimes not at all, muted by the endless fields of ice. Even in calm weather, the surface underfoot is unpredictable. One day, a hard crust supports a loaded sled. The next, a thaw brings slush and hidden cracks, forcing detours or halting progress entirely. The ice can open suddenly, creating leads of open water where there was none before. At the edge of these leads, the world feels fragile, just a thin sheet above a dark, frigid sea.